Hey, how's it going, boys? Welcome back to the CGOD YouTube channel. It's a beautiful day. The birds out here chirping. We got the lac out here. Finally got it juiced up. Got a bridge put in the back, you know what I mean? That thing's sitting right now, you know what I'm saying? Look at that, dude. She's so clean. Sick, man. I've been so hyped on this thing, man. Let me show y'all the setup real quick before we even get started. Drop that right there for you. Let's see if I can finagle these keys right here. I don't know what's going on with these keys, man. It's just a little 5 battery setup. You know what I'm saying? There you have it. You can see we got the 5 batteries in here. Got the bridge put in. You know what I'm saying? See that right there? Thick old bridge. That way she handles the weight of this big old lac. So basically, it's just in here right now. And I mean, I'm not even going to use any of this. The bridge eventually will be used for the car. But you know what I'm saying? It's basically just clickbait, you know. Sorry about that, but I had to, man, because she's sitting so right with the weight in the back. Looks so sick. There's a hair on this bad boy. But I got it cleaned up yesterday. We've been having some nice weather, you know what I mean? Decided to throw a bunch of weight in the back. Get her sitting down real nice. I'm so hyped on that. It looks so sick. The damn lac, man. You know what I mean? But on a serious note, though, we do have a couple things today. We're going to be going ahead and knocking out a little block-off plate for the Vikla. So I'll show you guys that. We've also got the stilts for the bed on the bagged Silverado. So basically the stilt is going to be kind of like a lift kit, right? So the bed is going to be raised up like 8 inches or 7 inches or whatever we want, you know what I mean? But I'm essentially going to be moving soon, so I need to get the truck mobile, and I want to move the bed with the truck. So before we actually raise the bed floor or anything like that, we're going to make the stilts, get them bolted on the frame of the truck, and get the bed able to be mounted back on it. You know what I mean? I do intend on juicing the lac, though, because I know that thing looks so sick, man. I took it out yesterday after giving her a little rinse. Man, she was snapping necks everywhere, man. In traffic, people like, damn, sick lac. And I was like, yeah, I know. Stopped at the gas station, had folks going crazy, you know what I mean? But let me show you guys what we're going to get into today, and I'll bring you right back. All right, big dog. So this is the first order of business. Essentially, you could see here, that's the original ignition plate. This is the block-off cover that I made. So it's basically just going to cover this nasty hole that I've had. You see on the old Vikla over here, it's just had this open gap. So it's basically just going to sit in there like so. You know what I mean? But we are obviously, you know, going to probably paint it black. So we've got this Krylon Fusion Gloss Black paint and primer. And on the second part of that, here we've got one of the stilts mocked up. So essentially, this is what it's going to be. You know what I mean? I drilled 5/8 holes on either side. The bolts are only 1/2 inch, but I wanted a little bit of wiggle room because I'm making them myself, you know, and you never know. So basically, I went ahead and I got some 1/4 inch, 2.5 plate, cut them into squares, rounded the edges, and I got this 1/4 inch 2x2 angle that I went ahead and cut to size. So this right now currently is set up at 7.5 inch right here, and then the 2/4 pieces will make it 8 inch, right? Because 8 inch is what is required to raise the bed floor all the way up and not body drop it, right? So in the future, if we ever want to change it or whatever, I'll have to cut out a section of this to make it drop more, you know what I mean? But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and probably hit this piece with like 2 or 3 coats of paint, whatever is needed for it to look nice and spiffy, and then we'll go ahead and like glue it or tape it or something in that position. That way our bike will look completed, because it's been missing that cover ever since I put these bars on, because the bars got in the way of the ignition, as you can see. So we rerouted the ignition down here, and ever since then it has been an eyesore. So let me get to it. Alright, so as you can see, got a few coats of paint on it. We're gonna go ahead and let that dry. I've began pairing these bad boys off, so essentially a top and a bottom for each one. These are the hardware we're going to be using to attaching it to the frame, and then we're going to use the factory bolts to attach the bed to the top side. So basically, I don't really know how well I'm going to do these. Like I said, these are 1/2 inch bolts, and the factory bolts are about 1/2 inch also, so I drilled these out to 5/8 just to allow a little bit of wiggle room, because like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm not, you know, using the proper tools and whatnot. So everything is already cleaned up. I'm just gonna basically like mock it up. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do it just yet, but I'm gonna, you know, give it my best shot, like Pat Benatar said, you know what I mean? And we're gonna get it welded up somewhat, a little bit, you know what I mean? I don't know whether I'll be able to weld it front side and back side or not. I'll probably just do back side for now, just in case, like I said, if I have to cut them off or something. So they'll work. You know, they'll get the job done for now, but in the future we may be cutting them down for the body drop. You never know. So I'm going to start mocking them up and getting them ready. Alright, so we got one of them welded up. And like I said, I was just going to weld the outside. That way it'd make it easy to grind those down if we ever need to chop them. But essentially this is how I'm doing it. So I don't have fancy tools. I got this Craftsman clamper Johnny that my dad gave me a long time ago. So we got a flat surface. We're setting it down and essentially laying the pieces down flat. Well, kind of flat. Maybe we should get a flatter surface. But either way, I think it's clamped enough we can look at it, you know. But you can see the back sides are going to sit right on the edge. The angle iron is going to sit right on the end of those pieces. And then obviously, you know, the pieces are flat. You can see the quarter angle lines up almost to the edges, you know what I mean, on either side here, there and there. So that's basically how I'm doing it. And from here I'm just bringing it on over to the garage, and we're clamping it down, getting the ground on it, sending her, you know what I mean. So let me show you kind of what that looks like. This is the garage setup that I got going. But yeah, basically we're just welding them up right here. Pretty simple stuff. Nothing too crazy, you know. And yeah, so I'm tacking them, removing the clamp, and then laying a few beads on it and calling it a day. So let me knock this out. I'll bring y'all back. So, there you have it. That's how we're out here doing it. Show you guys the rest of them. Go ahead and close up this gas, because gas ain't cheap, players. Either way, so we've got them all out here. You know what I mean? Professionally done. Very fancy. So, I'll probably clean them up, you know, wire wheel or something. But basically, I mean, I think they'll hold the truck. What do you guys think? Here, let me see if I can get some sun, or what's left of the sun out here. You know what I mean? Just a couple of little beads on it. Nothing too fancy. I mean, as long as the bed bolts on, I'm going to call it a win. You know what I mean? Got them just out here cooling. But yeah, so that's those. I'm gonna let them cool down. We'll clean them up a little bit. I was gonna paint them, but I figured I gotta paint the whole bed, or not the bed, but the whole frame anyways once we get to that point. So I'll probably just clean them up a little bit and we'll start bolting them onto the truck. Alright, so we're coming up on the end of the video. Got that bad boy glued in there after the paint dried. Bring you guys on back here now. Look at them 26s, baby. Intros. Either way, so this is how the stilts look. Basically, I went and I flipped my bed over just to verify that there was only these 6 mounting points. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't for sure, bro. It's been a minute. Either way, this airline is kind of in the way, but it'll essentially sit like that. The reason the airline is right here is because, as you can see, I have my pressure gauge here. The pressure gauge I'm going to fit inside of the factory, like whenever you open the fuel door, you'll see the pressure gauge there. And I'm also going to have this little quick connect, you know what I mean, like to fill up tires or whatever, you know. But essentially, that's how they sit. There you can see they're bolted. Well, they're not tightened, but they're bolted and nutted to the frame to hold them there. These ones I flipped this direction, but I mean they can go however. I just feel like they sit better like that. You know what I mean? Either way, once we get to the point of actually like putting the bed on, you know, then we'll be able to fine-tune this and get all this tightened up. But this is essentially the idea. You know what I'm saying? Clears real nice. So basically I built the whole truck off the idea that I was going to raise the bed floor. So as you can see right here, the end of our stilt, and then there's like a 2-inch gap because there's like some supports that run across the bed, right? And they run in these directions. So like from here it goes across that way, and then from there it goes across that way. So there's nothing in those spots. And then up in the front, obviously, there's nothing there either. But it's going to be basically raised up enough to where we're not going to need a notch cover. I'm not even going to do tubs. I'm going to stick with 10-inch wide wheels. So once I move and stuff, I will get the differential narrowed. So, you know, stay tuned for that one. Might be a while, but either way, eventually we are going to narrow the differential to be able to fit some wheels. I do want to do like an 8-inch lip. However, these wheels are only 6. So, I mean, I'll probably run a spacer if needed or whatever the case may be. But we'll get to that point when we get there. For now, the main thing, like I said, is I'm trying to move. So I'm going to bolt the bed to these stilts and it should work. The only thing that I may have to do is cut a hole for the fuel filler. So that bad boy, I want to say it's like a 2-inch fuel filler. I have a 2.5-inch hole saw somewhere right there. So I plan to remove the cap and measure out exactly where it's going to be. That way I can make a precise cut so that just the fuel filler comes through the floor. You know what I mean? And then you'll just have the cap to be able to fill the gas and whatnot. If not, and it sits lower or something of the sort, then what I'm probably going to do is get a bigger hole saw, or maybe I should just start with a bigger hole saw to begin with, just in case it sits kind of down in there. You know what I mean? But I do possibly, depending on how close the clearance is with all of this stuff, intend on doing a 1-inch body drop. So in that case, I will cut down our stilts 1 inch, but that'll also drop our floor 1 inch onto all of this. So we're going to see how it goes first, because as you can see, like the sending unit and stuff kind of comes up a good amount. See, so like in relation right there with the stilt, you could see, you know, it's up there. So I want to say it's 2 inch from where the bed mounts, you know, so roughly around there. And if that's the case, then we might be able to clear. And if that's not the case, and we do the 1 inch body drop, then it's going to be real tight clearance on the top of this here. And I don't necessarily want to mess up the fuel sending unit. You know what I mean? I'd like to have at least a 1/4 inch clearance. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Everything on the truck so far has been built to be bodied 1 inch. And I also intend on moving the cab back. So that will entail also having to do the front. On the core support, you have to drop it and move it back 1 inch also. But that's for another story. That's basically going to be it for this one. I just wanted to get some of this stuff completed. That way, whenever the time comes, we can slap the bed on it and she'll be ready to roll. So, wish me luck, guys. This is going to be the end. If you guys stayed long enough to watch all my shenanigans, sorry for the clickbait at the beginning of the video, but y'all know what it is, man. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We will be juicing the lack eventually, so stay tuned for that. Later.